You know that feeling, right? When you're watching an English movie or maybe trying to follow a conversation and it all just kind of blurs together.
Oh, definitely. Like a stream of sound almost.
Exactly. And you catch maybe a word here or there and you're left thinking, is my English just not good enough?
Yeah, that frustration is so common for anyone learning English. It's really easy to feel discouraged when what you actually hear sounds so different from, the English in textbooks.
Absolutely. But here's something really important, something we want to dig into with you today. It's probably not about your English level at all.
Right.
The reason spoken English can sound so incredibly fast isn't necessarily sheer speed. It's more about how native speakers naturally sort of link their words together.
They melt sounds, and there's a kind of relaxed rhythm. It's less about how many words per minute and more about the flow.
Exactly, the flow. And that's really the core of this deep dive. We're going to break down why this fast-flowing English can feel, well, so overwhelming sometimes.
And more importantly, we'll share some really practical, step-by-step strategies you can actually start using right away to sharpen your listening skills.
Yeah, our goal is that by the end of this, you'll feel, hopefully, quite a bit more confident about understanding English, even when it seems to be whizzing past.
And we've been looking at a great source for this. It's a YouTube video, English podcast, conversation, Understanding Fast English, Learn English with Pods EP34.
Ah, right, from the BBX Learning English podcast channel. The hosts, Jason and Julia, they have a really good discussion about exactly this problem.
They do. They talk about why fast English trips us up and, crucially, what we can actively do about it.
And what's really interesting, I thought, was their starting point. They make this point that English isn't necessarily spoken, faster syllable-wise than lots of other languages.
Right. It just sounds faster to learners.
Yeah.
And that's because of some very specific things about how English works, linguistically speaking.
So it's not just native speakers talking at lightning speed?
Not really, no. It's more about these linguistic features.
Okay, so let's get into it then. What are these specific features? What makes it sound so fast?
Well, the first big one is something linguists call connected speech. Basically, native speakers tend to blend or link words together.
Instead of pronouncing each word separately, like reading from a list.
Exactly. The end of one word often flows right into the beginning of the next one, especially within a phrase or sentence.
Okay, give us an example. They had some good ones in the video, right?
Yeah, like if you're expecting to hear, "What are you doing?" all spaced out. What you often actually hear is something closer to "what you doing," or even "what you doing."
Right.
It all kind of runs together.
Right. It becomes like one sound unit almost.
Totally. And another really common one they mentioned was, "Did you eat?"
Okay, I'm expecting "did you eat?"
But you'll often hear "did eat" or "jeet." That did sound and the Y sound just sort of fuse.
Ah, okay. So the clear breaks between words that maybe you learned just aren't always there in real speech.
Pretty much. And if you're listening for those breaks, trying to identify each distinct word, this connected speech can really, mess with your understanding.
Yeah, I can see that. Okay, so connected speech is one thing. What else?
The second key feature is word reductions. In casual everyday speech, native speakers shorten words and common phrases all the time.
Oh, yeah, definitely. This is like going to becoming gonna.
Exactly. Or want to becoming wanna.
Gotta becomes gotta. Those are everywhere.
They really are. And don't forget standard contractions, too. That's another form of reduction.
Like I am to I'm, he will to he'll.
Precisely. And all these shortened forms, these compressions, they absolutely add to that feeling that words are just disappearing or flying by too fast.
Right. You might be listening for the full I am going to, but what you actually get is I'm gonna, and suddenly it feels like half the sentence is missing.
It can definitely feel that way.
Yeah.
And then the third major factor is how we handle unstressed words.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
It means that not every word in a sentence gets the same emphasis or, force. Some words are stressed, they're louder, longer, clearer.
And others are weaker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Other words, often the small grammatical ones are weaker, faster, and less distinct. They're unstressed.
They used that sentence, I went to the store, didn't they?
Yes. A learner might expect to hear each word clearly. I went to the store.
But that's not how it usually sounds.
No. In natural speech, it's much more like I went to the store. The words to and the become really weak, almost like little blips of sound.
To the... Right. They almost fade into the background noise.
They really do. These little function words, prepositions like to, articles like the and a, auxiliary verbs, they often get squashed and de-emphasized.
So just to kind of pull that together, if you're finding fast English tough, it's likely because of these natural things. Words linking up, words getting shortened, and some words being barely stressed at all.
That's the core idea. It's usually not about a fundamental gap in your English knowledge. It's about getting used to how the language actually sounds when spoken naturally.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So we know why it sounds fast. Now, let's maybe dive a bit deeper into those specific features again. They mentioned linking sounds, reductions, and also dropped sounds.
Yes, absolutely. Let's elaborate a bit. With linking sounds, as we touched on, it's about how words connect right at the boundary between them.
Especially when one word ends in a consonant sound and the next starts with a vowel sound.
That's a really common scenario. Their example was, turn it off.
Right, pronounced carefully, it's turn it off. 3 distinct parts.
But in the flow of speech, it very often becomes turn it off. That final N sound of turn links smoothly to the I of it, and the T of it links to the O of off.
Turn it off. Yeah, okay. One smooth sound.
And another good one was, I need a nap.
Which can sound like...
I need a nap. The D at the end of need just blends right into the A. It makes the speech much more fluid, less choppy.
It really does. It's like the sounds are holding hands across the word gaps.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Then word reductions. We covered gonna, wanna, gotta.
Yeah, and things like, I am going to becoming I'm gonna.
Or do you want to becoming, do you want, or even just wanna go. And what are you doing shortening to what you doing?
These are huge time savers for native speakers, I guess, but potentially really confusing if you're not expecting them.
They definitely speed things up and smooth them out. And finally, there are those dropped sounds. This is where sometimes, in really casual speech, sounds within a word can just disappear.
Like internet. That was their example, wasn't it?
Yes. So many people say inet. That middle dick sound often gets softened right down or just vanishes completely.
Inet. Okay. I've definitely heard that.
And another really common one, I don't know.
Becomes.
Often becomes, I don't know, the deet sound in don't just gets dropped, completely gone.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just words blending, it's actual sounds inside the words, sometimes taking a vacation.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
No wonder it can feel like you're missing things when you listen.
Absolutely. So just to quickly recap that section, the gap between textbook English and real spoken English comes down to these key things: linking, reductions, and dropped sounds.
That's a great summary. They all work together to create that fast-flowing sound.
Okay, understanding the why is super helpful, but now the really crucial part, what can we actually do about it? How do we train our ears to handle all this? What strategies did they suggest?
Right, the practical stuff. They offered some really solid, actionable strategies. The first one is train with slow, then fast speech.
Okay, that sounds logical. Start easier, then ramp it up.
Exactly. Use those playback speed controls you find on YouTube, Netflix, podcast apps, etc.
So listen at maybe 0.75x speed first.
Yeah, something like that. Listen at a slower speed until you feel like, okay, I'm getting most of this. Then listen again in normal, 1x speed.
It's like giving your brain a chance to catch up first, then testing it at full speed. Kind of like training wheels.
Precisely. It helps you gradually adjust. Strategy number 2 is to listen and read at the same time.
Using subtitles or transcripts?
Yes. Connect the audio input with the visual text. This is incredibly helpful for actually seeing where those links, reductions, and dropped sounds are happening.
So you hear wanna, but you see want to written down. It helps connect the dots.
Exactly. It helps your brain map the sound to the written form. You can use podcasts with transcripts, audiobooks, TV shows with subtitles. Lots of options.
And the idea is to listen with the text first.
And then challenge yourself by listening again without the text to see how much more you understand.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Bridging that gap between eye and ear. What's strategy 3?
Strategy 3 is a technique called shadowing. Have you heard of this?
I think so. Is that where you repeat what you hear immediately, like an echo?
That's exactly it. You listen to a short sentence or maybe just a phrase, and you immediately try to repeat it back.
Trying to match the speaker's speed, rhythm, intonation, everything.
As closely as you can, yes. So if you hear, what do you want to do? You immediately try to say, what do you want to do? Copying the natural flow.
That sounds challenging, but also really effective for tuning your ear and your own pronunciation.
It's fantastic for both.
Yeah.
It forces you to pay close attention to the sounds and rhythm of natural speech.
Okay, shadowing. Got it. What was the fourth strategy?
Number 4 is focus on the key words, not every single word.
Ah, right. Because as we said, native speakers don't always pronounce every little word perfectly clearly.
Exactly. So instead of getting totally bogged down trying to catch every the, a, or is, train yourself to listen for the main content words, the nouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs that carry the core meaning.
Like in their example, do you want to grab some coffee later?
Right. Instead of straining for every syllable, focus on want coffee later. You can usually understand the main point from those key pieces.
That definitely feels less stressful. You don't need 100% accuracy on every tiny word to get the gist.
Not at all. And the final strategy, number 5, is perhaps the simplest, but maybe the most important.
Let me guess.
Practice.
Consistency. Listen every single day, even if it's just for 5 minutes.
Ah, the power of habit.
Absolutely. Short, regular exposure is key. Find 5 minutes for an English podcast, a quick YouTube clip, even just an English song you like.
Just keep exposing your ears consistently.
Exactly. Over time, your brain just naturally starts to adapt to the sounds and rhythms. It becomes less foreign, more familiar.
Okay, so let's quickly list those again. 1, slow, then fast playback. 2, listen and read together. 3, shadowing. 4, focus on key words. 5, listen every day.
That's the set, a really good toolkit to start improving your listening comprehension for fast speech.
Definitely. And they also really stressed actually practicing with real conversations, right? Because that's the ultimate goal.
Yes, absolutely. Listening practice is great, but eventually you need to engage with the real thing, actual spontaneous dialogue. That's where you really encounter the speed, the linking, the natural flow.
So how did they suggest we do that? Well, method 1 was pretty straightforward. Watch TV shows, movies, or YouTube videos with real dialogue.
Things like sitcoms or everyday conversations.
Exactly. They mentioned shows like Friends, The Office, Modern Family shows, known for capturing fairly natural everyday English. Or on YouTube, look for interviews, vlogs, discussions where people are just talking naturally.
And again, use subtitles first if you need to, then try without.
Yep, that progressive approach works well here too. Method 2 was to listen to podcasts that feature natural speech.
Like this one, hopefully, or ones that are unscripted conversations.
Right. Many podcasts aren't tightly scripted, so you get that more spontaneous feel with ums, ahs, overlaps, all the features of real talk.
And they had that tip about active listening with podcasts.
Yeah, pausing after a sentence or two and trying to repeat it back, mimicking the speed and pronunciation. It turns passive listening into active practice.
Kind of like mini shadowing within the podcast. I like that. And the third method.
Method 3 is the most direct. Have conversations with real people.
Okay, easier said than done for some, maybe.
True, but crucial if possible. Practice with English-speaking friends or colleagues. If that's not an option, look into online language exchange programs. There are tons of them.
Connect with native speakers online.
Exactly. And they even offered a trick for practicing solo.
Which was?
Talking to yourself. Pretend you're in a conversation. Ask yourself questions in English and try to answer quickly and naturally.
Huh. Okay, maybe feels a bit strange at first, but I can see how that would help you practice thinking and responding on the fly.
It really can. So the practice methods are watching real dialogue, listening to natural podcasts, and engaging in actual conversations, even if it's just with yourself to start.
Great practical tips. Now, there was also a really important point they made about mindset, about something we need to stop doing.
Ah, yes, the stop translating point.
Yeah, this is huge. So many learners fall into this trap, right? You hear English, your brain instantly tries to translate it into your native language, then you try to understand it.
Exactly. And that whole process, listen, translate, understand, it's just too slow for the speed of most natural conversations.
Native speakers aren't pausing for you to translate in your head.
Not at all. The conversation just keeps moving. So if you're stuck in that translation loop, you're always going to feel behind, always playing catch up.
So what's the solution? How do you break that habit?
The key, they argued, is to actively train yourself to start thinking in English.
Okay, what does that look like in practice?
One technique is to focus on recognizing common phrases or chunks of language as single units of meaning.
Instead of translating word by word.
Right. Take their example again. What do you want to do? Instead of processing what do you want to do individually.
You train yourself to hear that whole sequence, what do you want to do, as one standard question, meaning what activity shall we engage in?
Precisely. You build up a mental library of these common phrases and their meanings directly in English, bypassing the translation step.
That makes sense. Learn phrases, not just single words.
And the other part of this mindset shift is reinforcing that idea of focusing on the main meaning, not every single word.
Back to the keywords idea again.
Exactly. Except that you might not catch every preposition or article. That's okay. Aim to understand the core message. Even native speakers don't consciously process every single word someone says.
They get the gist from the main words and the context.
Yeah, absolutely. So the big mindset shift is actively try to stop translating word for word. Start thinking in English by recognizing phrases. Focus on the overall meaning.
That feels like a really fundamental shift that could unlock a lot of progress. Okay, so we have the reasons, the strategies, the practice methods, the mindset. Did they offer any specific, daily exercises we could try?
They did. 3 concrete exercises to make this really practical. The first one they called the 1-minute listening challenge.
Ooh, sounds intense but short. How does it work?
You find a short audio clip, about a minute long, could be from anything, podcast, YouTube, movie.
Okay, 1 minute of audio.
Step 1. Listen without any subtitles or text. Just try to catch what you can. Don't worry if it's not much at first.
Step 2.
Listen again, this time with the subtitles or transcript. Read along, see what you missed, connect the sounds to the words.
Okay, check your understanding.
Step 3. Listen one last time, without the subtitles again. See how much more you understand now compared to the first listen.
I like that. Listen, check, test. Very structured and manageable in just a few minutes.
Exactly. The second exercise was simply committing to regular shadowing practice.
Just doing that echo repetition thing we talked about?
Yep. Even just a few sentences a day. Hear it, repeat it immediately. Focus on matching the rhythm and flow.
Builds muscle memory for your ears and mouth.
And the third exercise.
The third was listen and summarize.
How does that work?
You listen to a slightly longer chunk of audio, maybe a short conversation, a few minutes of a podcast, and then you try to summarize the main points out loud in your own words in English.
So it forces you to process the meaning, not just the sounds. Exactly. It's about comprehending and then reformulating the core message. Great practice for focusing on meaning over individual words.
Okay, so the 3 daily exercises. The 1-minute challenge, shadowing practice, and listen and summarize. All really good, concrete actions.
Definitely. And that pretty much wraps up the key insights from our source on tackling fast English. We've gone from the why it sounds fast to the how you can get better at understanding it.
We really have covered a lot. And I think the biggest takeaway, the thing to really hold on to is just don't get discouraged.
Absolutely. Understanding fast, natural English is a skill. Like any skill, it takes time, it takes practice.
You won't suddenly understand everything overnight, but with consistent effort, you will improve. Patience is key.
So true. So maybe a little challenge for everyone listening.
Go on.
For the next 7 days, just pick one of the things we talked about today. Maybe it's the 1-minute challenge. Maybe it's 5 minutes of shadowing each day. Maybe it's consciously trying to notice phrases instead of translating.
Just one thing. Commit to it for a week.
Yeah, pick one that feels doable and maybe even a bit interesting to you. Try it consistently for 7 days and just notice. See if you feel any difference, however small.
And we'd genuinely love to hear how you get on. Let us know in the comments, send us a message, share your experience.
Please do. And keep exploring other resources too. The more varied your listening practice, the better.
Absolutely. So keep practicing, keep listening, don't give up.
You'll definitely find that fast English starts to sound less like a blur and more like, well, just English.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks so much for digging into this with us today.
My pleasure.
Until next time, take care and keep learning.